Jessica here?
I do not see Jessica yet.
Give me 1 minute.
I see the both Jessies and I'm missing Jessica.
Okay, we're good.
Thank you, Janine. We're ready to go, Jeffrey. When you are.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. All righty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 2023 full board meeting for Manhattan Community Board 4. My name is Jeffrey LeFrancois. I'm chair of the board, and it's a privilege, as always, to call our meeting to order this evening. While this meeting was scheduled to be in person and hybrid, alas, we're on the squares given the air quality conditions. If it is not one thing, it is another. But thankfully, here we all are nonetheless. It's an exciting meeting tonight as we welcome 9 new board members, and we're actually still awaiting the joining and appointment of 1 more board member as well. So we'll be onboarding 10 new members, which is really exciting. We also asked those who are no longer serving on the board to join us tonight so we could thank them for their service and wish them well in all of the free time they're going to have now that they're no longer serving on Community Board 4. So the shout out to that list: Sarah Mills, Leslie Williams, James Wallace, Sabrina Reveron, Murnal Vikram, Kit Tollerson, Yadira Jimenez, and Blake Karisu. Huge thanks. A number of you were co-chairs of committees. You were executive officers. Thank you for your time and dedication and commitment to the community and the board. Please don't be shy. You can join as committees as a member of the public and still participate in our meetings. But just wanted to give a shout out to everybody. I know a number of you are here tonight in the attendees, and we are thankful and appreciate the service. I will, during my report later on in the meeting, spend some time introducing and allowing the new members of the board to introduce themselves as well. We're being held via Zoom tonight because the mayor's executive order continues to be in place, and it will be until June 19th. This meeting is being streamed live on our YouTube channel, and a transcript is being recorded, and all of this is accessible forever after this meeting as well. Please note, and I'm sure Jesse will get into this, that our July full board meeting is planned to be in person and hybrid, and will take place at the end of July, not the beginning. And as tonight, as is our custom, we'll have public session, but members of the public will be given the ability to speak during that time. The agenda for tonight's meeting can be found on our website at mcb4.nyc. I'm on the wrong list. Sorry, I was checking. I didn't hear back from Jessica yet, so maybe she's not joining. Leslie, did you?
I'm here. I'm here.
On the.
She's here. She's here.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Oh, hi. I'm
Hi.
sorry, I didn't see your name.
That's okay.
Okay, so we do not have any presentations this evening, and so we are going straight into public session. I see a lot of head nodding. Let's hope for efficiency in this evening's meeting in that regard. So Jessica, over to you for public session.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be with all of you, although I was looking forward to being in person. As Jeffrey stated, for our public session, we request that people sign up in advance, and we do have numerous people who have done that at this point. If you have not signed up and intend to speak, we have to give a 5-minute grace period to put your hand up in the public session, and we'll note you and bring you over at the appropriate time. We do request that everyone limit their comments to 2 minutes, and I will just keep a timer that you will hear go off as your friendly reminder to bring your remarks to a conclusion. So with that, Jesse, we can start with Lindsay Cooper, and then followed by our friend Lisa Wager.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the time to speak today. My name is Lindsay Cooper. I work for the Partnership for Parks, which is a public-private partnership between NYC Parks and the City Parks Foundation. Previously, I believe one of my predecessors worked with you, either Kyle Maitelka or Ashley Kanuki. And I am here today just to explain a little bit about my role and how I can support your community members in District 4 who are interested in doing work in the parks. So we support community members who are interested in creating events in the parks, who do things to care for the parks, like planting flowers, painting benches, cleaning up the parks, etc. So I'm here to support in providing resources, technical assistance, and just general guidance for working in the parks. And I just wanted to introduce myself today to let you know about our program and answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Lindsay, thank you so much. We are delighted to have you and the opportunity to engage with you, and we appreciate your brevity.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you. We'll go to Lisa and then Jesse. Do we have Jeff Preston?
I don't have Jeff.
Okay. Do we have Jim Boyd?
We do.
Great. So we'll go from Lisa, and then Jim, you'll know you're up. Lisa, the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology on West 27th Street with a res hall in the district on West 31st Street. Happy Pride. FIT proudly embraces the LGBTQIA+ community year-round with policy and operational access like gender-inclusive housing and gender-neutral bathrooms. But I direct your attention to the wonderful 2-minute film of our recent 16th annual drag pageant, Ever Popular, which you can find on the FIT website. And here's what 2 students featured in the film had to say. The first one said, "It's important because it's so unique to the school. FIT is kind of spearheading that change with all that's going on now, with all the drag bills. Anytime we get ourselves in front of people, we're making change." And another student said, "This pageant is so important right now because it shows that FIT is on the right side of history. Throwing this pageant is an act of protest." The newest exhibition at the museum at FIT opened last week, Moda Hoy, Latin American and Latinx Fashion Design Today. The English language media has often viewed Latin American and Latinx fashion from an outsider's perspective as an exoticized other, presenting the region as one homogeneous entity. Moda Hoy takes a decentering approach to fashion studies and looks at the whole region with its shared histories of colonialism, globalism, imperialism, industrialization processes, and local modes of modernity. The exhibition is organized into sections that address the issues of indigenous heritage, sustainability, art, gender, politics, elegance, craftsmanship, and popular culture. As an example, the politics section explores women's rights, immigration, and geopolitical relations. The sustainability section examines the ways in which Latin American and Latinx designers are integrating cultural knowledge, traditional craft, natural resources, and novel materials into their ethically responsible designs. The exhibition includes many folks you know and many you will meet for the first time: Adolfo, Victor Alfaro, Maria Cornejo, Oscar de la Renta, Luis Estevez, Francisco Costa, alum, Carlos Falchi, Carolina Herrera, and Isabella Toledo, alum, and many others. It's up till November. I hope you'll come visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We will go to Jim, and then Kelly Grant, you'll be up next. Jim Boyd, are you?
You're still on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
We
we
can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you. Anyway, thank you, CB4. I'm Jim Boyd. I live in Chelsea. And the choking smoke that's outside was very alarming. It's like passing the Hudson River Park VIP heliport on any day. Exactly 2 years ago, June 10th, CB4's WPE committee allowed me a 5-minute presentation after the trust CEO Norrin Doyle's heliport justification. We had very different versions of the heliport's history and how it can be closed. I believe that was the only trust heliport conversation with the public in 25 years. 25 years of passing off the issue as a long and complicated regulatory issue with no easy resolution is, after so long, just irresponsible and totally inaccurate. I would like to ask CB4, the Parks Advisory Council, and even the trust itself to use all of their individual and institutional contacts to turn advice into loud action through the use of social media and the press, both fully informed. Tell the governor, the mayor, and the borough president that the heliport can and must be closed in 30 days. If citizens had direct democracy, we could tell them ourselves, but you are our only voice. So I would ask you to speak up and lead, because this toxic situation is just insanity. And I contacted you a year ago after that meeting and was told, yes, we're fully aware, we're always working on it, but I'm afraid that's simply not the case. There's so much that could be done. I'm not sure what you would
Thank
say.
you. Yeah, thank you, Jim. We have been working on this issue, and I just know even personally, I was speaking with Gail Brewer about it just on Sunday, and the frustration, mounts at every level. But we do have our Waterfront Parks Committee folks here, and I see them shaking their heads, and I'm sure they will be happy to follow up with you to both brief you on where we are and maybe brainstorm some potential next steps. Thank you for joining us today.
Jessica, if I may, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. It is on our agenda for tomorrow.
Thank you. So, Jim, you can attend their meeting tomorrow.
I can't be there tomorrow, but
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to Kelly Grant. Kelly.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak at Community Board 4. My name is Kelly Grant. I run a preschool called La Escuelita. It's all the way on West 99th Street, but we do have families in your area that come attend our preschool, and we have spots still available for the fall. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our special place. It is a Spanish immersion preschool. So our 2, 3, and 4-year-olds spend up to 90% of their day in Spanish with native Spanish speaking teachers. Our 2-year-olds spend 100% of their day there. We are a nonprofit. That means every tuition dollar is going to enhance your child's experience with us. We also have a great teacher to student ratio. 3 teachers in every classroom in small classes, and we hope you would help spread the word. And if you know a family that has a 2 or 3-year-old and still looking for, or a 4-year-old and still looking for a place to go to preschool, that you'd come check us out. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. Chair, that concludes our public session, and thank you all for your brevity this evening.
Thanks, Jessica. And to those, actually, oh, it's down, perfect, who joined us tonight for those updates. Continuing on in our agenda is the adoption of the agenda, which was circulated yesterday. Sorry, there's a thing under my chair. And I'll call for an adoption of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Adoption.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any objections? The agenda is adopted. On to the minutes, with thanks to Katie and Roberta. Any questions on the minutes? I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes from the May meeting.
So moved.
Thanks, Paul. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Candace. Any objections? The minutes are adopted. I think, let's see. Jesse, do we know, is the borough president joining us tonight, or is he speaking on his behalf?
Yiyi should be speaking on, I brought her over, so.
Perfect.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Happy Pride Month. This coming Sunday, it is Puerto Rican Day Parade. So we encourage people to join us to march in with our office in this parade. And also on June 25th, Sunday, it's the Pride Parade. So we also look forward to having some of you work with us in this Pride Parade later this month. Our community board application process is complete. So our team worked very hard to get through almost 1,000 great applications. We want to warmly thank all of the former community members for their service, dedication, and commitment, and additionally congratulate the returning community board members who will serve another term. We also want to welcome our newest Manhattan Community Board members who are joining today in what is one of the most democratic ways to serve in civic life, and that's by serving as community board members. We are going to have a few onboarding meetings, and we will be sending out dates, so please keep a lookout. Earlier this month, Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine stood in strong opposition to rent guidelines board's preliminary vote that would advance a range of proposed rent hikes on rent-stabilized apartments in New York City. If passed, in a final vote scheduled for this month, 21st, 2023, this potential adjustment could increase rent 2 to 5% for 1-year leases and 47% for 2-year leases. Our city is still entrenched in a housing crisis that has seen median rent as high as $5,000 in Manhattan, and many rent-stabilized tenants are still feeling the impact of the board's rent increases from just a year ago. So now is not the time for more rent increases that puts further burden on the backs of nearly 2 million vulnerable New Yorkers. It's time for the opposite, a total rent freeze for stabilized units. So Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine is committed to continue fighting as the rent guidelines board moves to its final vote, and strongly urges the board to reject any proposed increase that add financial stress to the lives of struggling New Yorkers. Next is the Manhattan Borough President's Office about the AI technologies in the future. So generative AI technology like ChatGPT and Midjourney, etc., is advancing at an astonishing rate. This will have profound implications for New York City, our economy, workers, schools, local elections, city government operations, and more. So our city needs to mobilize to meet this moment. The Manhattan Borough President Office would like to hear from you. What do you see as the opportunities and the threats to New York City from AI, and how should we be responding? You can share your thoughts with our office through a website. I'm not sure that if you can share this website link in the chat, but I'll just send the chat link to Jesse later on.
Thank you.
And also the CEC deadline extended. The CEC deadline extended to June 9th, which is in 2 days. The CECs are one of our most local levels of government and help to provide parents with a voice to shape education policy decisions at the district level. There are 6 CECs in Manhattan, 1 for each community education district. Each CEC is composed of 11 voting members, 2 elected parents of students in grade K to 8. At the time they run for election, and 2 members appointed by the Manhattan Borough President. So the eligibility is BP appointees must be residents of the district or own or operate a business in the district where they seek to serve on the CEC and have extensive business, trade, or education experience and knowledge. And last but not least is Manhattan Borough President's recommendation on the MSG special permit. So last month, the Manhattan Borough President's Office submitted Mark's recommendation on MSG special permits application. So this would be a 5-year term limit on the special permits. MSG must work with the railroads, DOT, and local community board to create a plan that repurposes the theater into a new station entrance, the theater, AKA Hulu Theater. And MSG must create more efficient loading in the taxiway in the mid-block and add new station entrances over there. MSG also must enhance public spaces around the arena. So that's it. I hope that's not too much. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Yiyi. Appreciate it tonight. Next up on the list, we have, sorry, checking my phone.
Looks like there's a hand up.
I'm gonna jump. Thank you, Dolores. Jess, JD's question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question to the borough president's representative. I understand the borough president has come out with a statement demanding, I think that was the word, that the state raise the 12 FAR cap. Now, I thought that was very interesting because this board under the leadership of Jeffrey and Paul Devlin, has been studying the potential effects of raising the cap. Some may be good, some may be not so good. And as the board in Midtown that will be probably most affected if it were raised, we are very concerned that a more subtle, nuanced study was done. So why did the borough president demand without reservation that it be lifted? Should we stop studying it because obviously the borough president does not think it's necessary? Or am I mistaken and maybe the borough president does think that it is worthy of some kind of nuanced study?
You're on, there you go.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Nolan, for bringing up this question. I know that our office had this thing, and unfortunately, I'm not a land use special expertise, so I'm not going to be able to answer this question. But I would be happy to take your question back to our office. I'll definitely flag it to Lizette about this issue and make sure that your question will be answered.
Thank you.
Nolan.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you, Yiyi. Thanks, JD. Next up on the list, Olivia from Congressman Nadler's office.
Hello, everyone. I will start, I guess, with city council stuff. The congressman, because he's the dean of the New York delegation, he hosted New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams and a bunch of other city council members yesterday. They went to DC and they talked about a lot of issues affecting New York City, specifically increased funding for NYCHA, and then of course the need to fast track work permits for asylum seekers, which I know is something that's been brought up a lot here with this board. Today, the congressman reintroduced the Disaster Assistance Equity Act. Pretty much what that is all about is, in the way that affects New York City specifically is, after Superstorm Sandy, thousands of New Yorkers and other Americans were shocked to learn that FEMA's eligibility rules left them with no way of restoring their homes. And that's specifically because they shared walls or floors with their neighbors, or they lived in a homeowners association, and other housing cooperatives in New York City are also left out of those rules. So this piece of legislation tries to make it less ambiguous and for those kinds of things to be covered when and if another storm like that happens. And then I know helicopters have already been brought up today, but Congressman Nadler and Goldman led a letter to Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams just a couple weeks ago. Obviously, in Congress, we're working to secure more meaningful solutions to these concerns because of the FAA Reauthorization Act. But while we're doing that, we're really requesting that the governor and the mayor move to end non-essential helicopter flights. The West 30th heliport is owned by Hudson River Park in a partnership between the state and the city. And then the East 34th heliport and the downtown Manhattan heliport are owned by EDC. So the ball is really in the mayor and the governor's court on that one. And we continue to, really, really pressure them on that. And lastly, happy Pride, as other people have said. If you are interested in walking with us in our office, I don't think I can put my email address in the chat, but I know Jesse has it. Please feel free to email anyone in Congressman Nadler's office, and you can join us on Sunday, May 25th, marching in the parade. All right, that's it.
Thanks, Olivia. Up next from Controller Brad Lander's office, Evelyn Collado is with us this evening. Evelyn?
I think Betty has a hand, was trying to raise her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm missing all those this evening. Sorry, everybody. Betty?
You're on mute, Betty.
I'd like to know the congressman's position about the protection of traditional Medicare versus the mayor's position supporting Medicare Advantage?
I have spoken with him and we've spoken about that in the office a little bit, not recently, but I know that he's not supporting the change. But let me get our full statement, but I know that he is a member, and his wife are a member of all of the unions and pensioners and all of that. So whenever I've spoken to him about it, it's because he personally and his wife are going to be affected by these changes. And so I will send the statement to Jesse to get it all out, but I know he's on the right side of that, but I don't want to get into any more specifics. So I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia. Thanks, Patty. Up next to Controller Brad Lender's office for Evelyn Collado, please.
Thank you and good evening. Happy Pride. I'm here tonight to plug in our newly released 2023 edition of the LGBTQ plus Guide of Services and Resources that our office works on every year. We have the most comprehensive citywide directory of resources for LGBTQ plus communities. It's over 200 organizations that provide programs and services by and for these communities, and from healthcare to housing to the arts, mental health, and youth services. We hope that you share this guide, that you find it useful, and if you would like to have a print copy, please email us at action@comptroller.nyc.gov. As usual, you can reach out to me with any questions, concerns, or invitations for the comptroller at ecollad@comptroller.nyc.gov. I sent Janine an update of 2 or 3 pages with all the reports and letters that we have released for the month of May, and also information on stuff that has been going on this week in our office, from statements and briefings and audits that our office has conducted. If you have any questions on that, also feel free to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to respond. Thank you for the opportunity and good night. And stay safe out there.
Thanks so much for the update. Appreciate that. Always been a fan of that guide and impressed by the comprehensiveness of it. So thanks for reminding everybody about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Up next, we are joined, I believe, on pause from session in the floor of Albany by Assemblymember Tony Simone. Tony?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Great. Yeah, I just ran out of session, but I'm glad to join all of you on Zoom, hopefully in person after this week. I want to say happy Pride Month to everyone. I'm here in Albany in the final weeks of legislative session, as you can hear by my voice. After debating in conference, there's still a lot of issues we're still debating, including affordable housing in the final days. But I wanted to share some of the work we did this session that I've been working on lately. First of all, as we see in Albany and in Manhattan, we're witnessing one of the most visible signs of climate change related harm we've seen since Superstorm Sandy. Please limit your time outside. As you've heard from all the officials, wear masks if you can, if you have any health issues. I know Jason, our dog raider, was out earlier and he said it was not pleasant. It's not as bad in Albany at the moment, but it was pretty bad this morning. I am proud of some of the environmental accomplishments we've done so far in Albany, and we're not done yet. We're past all electric building and the all electric buildings and the Public Renewables Act, 2 separate legislation bills, being back a last minute push by the fossil fuel industry during our budget negotiations to weaken how we measure methane emissions. And the fact is, every year we don't go further on our efforts. We're decades behind in fighting the climate crisis, as many all know on the community board, because I know many of you have been advocates for a lot of the climate legislation we've been pushing for. And of course, we know the future skies that we see today, we don't want that to be acceptable and the norm. That would be terrifying for all of us. And a happier note, to kick off Pride Month, I just passed a bill in the Assembly that adds gender identity and expression as a protected class to the anti-discrimination protection for interns under the human rights law. They were not protected before this bill, which is a big surprise. And we also removed and stigmatized an outdated language in the human rights law that conflated sexual orientation with criminality. These changes were long overdue, and I'm glad that the New York State laws now more closely reflect the values of our state. And also, as we know, a common problem everywhere in New York City, even New York State and Albany, is the problem of bikes not following the rules, particularly delivery e-bikes on sidewalks. So I'll soon be introducing legislation to address the issue. The bill will require e-bikes used for commercial purposes to be registered and brandish a license plate. It also redirects all fines to the employer, who often pressures our delivery workers to deliver your food in 10, 15 minutes, which I think New Yorkers can wait a little longer for safety. My office heard this from the community, and we figured this is a good targeted approach for now. Clearly, there'll be more measures in months and years to come. And early this month, I introduced a bill to remove the heliport from the Hudson River Park, A7277, and another bill, 6985, to prohibit municipalities from allowing public lands for helicopters, for sightseeing tours, or photography, videography. Both of these bills are carried by Senator Hoyman Siegel in the Senate. Excuse me if I'm rushing. I think I'm being called back to session for a slow roll call. So I'm going to sum it up. Additionally, I've had conversations with local community members about the issue of illegal cannabis shops. I've been annoying and hounding the Cannabis Management Office, which I feel have been, to say just in a polite way, lax in their enforcement. The stores go against the values of the state about legalizing marijuana. They're avoiding paying taxes. Everyone knows they've been involved in many other crimes in the area, causing a shooting in Hell's Kitchen due to a fight in front of an illegal store. Working closely with the Office of Cannabis Management to bring focus on the West Side. As many of you know, the fines now could be up to $20,000 a day. They can be padlocked. And the state is now, I'm being told by the governor's office, gearing up for a serious enforcement push in the week and months to come. So we'll have more to announce that with all the electeds in the coming weeks and months, hopefully sooner than better. There's a lot more to discuss, but we'll be sending out a mailing and an email blast soon with updates as we finish session, probably late into night Friday or into Saturday, maybe sooner. And I hope to see many of you individually and as a group in person this summer. And sorry if I was rushed, but I need to run back in like 5 minutes.
Go vote, go vote. Thank you, Tony.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Stay safe, wear a mask outside. Bye.
Thanks. Jesse, is Jordan? I'm missing all the names.
Hi,
Jordan is, yep.
Hi, Jordan.
Hey, everybody. How are you all?
Doing great. Thanks for being here.
Good. Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. The council member sends his apologies that he could not be here, but certainly wishes everyone a happy Pride and hopes everyone was safe today with the bad air quality. Not every day you look out your window and you're like, am I in New York or am I on Mars? So want to just give some quick updates for everyone, just in what our office has been up to over the past couple months. So on May 23rd, we met outside of 128 West 17th Street, also known as the former Colored School number 4, with community members, CB4 members, and local historian Eric K. Washington, as well as the mayor of New York City, as we announced that the council member had secured $6 million in funding for this historic building to help restore it. And on that same day that we listened outside, actually on an iPad, as LPC voted to designate it as a historic landmark. This is such a major win. I know this is something CB4 has been working on for such a long time. Shout out Carrie and Jessica and all of Chelsea Land Use. That was such a monumental victory and something to really, really be proud of. So thank you to CB4 for all your work on there. We also recently announced the winning projects in participatory budgeting. We had in Council District 3, 3,333 people vote, which is not a joke. You know, I love that the numbers lined up like that, but It was a 50% increase from our vote total from last year. Of the 31 council members that were doing participatory budgeting, we got the 5th most votes. So it was truly a team effort from the entire district. We were really, really pleased with that. We have a handful of winners that directly affect CB4, including tree bed expansion to create bioswales, capture stormwater runoff, and promote tree health. We also have pedestrian safety improvements for the theater district from West 41st to 43rd Street between, I believe, 7th and 8th Avenues. And we are going to be doing some bathroom renovations at 2 schools in Chelsea, both Quest to Learn and the High School for Fashion Industries. We also, in that tree vein, we are now seeing 200 plus trees coming in district-wide. We're well on our way to meeting the council member's goal of planting 1,000 trees throughout his time in office. We're really excited about that. We're also really excited to announce that we had some additional funding in the budget this year for beautification. And we've been working with the Horticultural Society on this to have these larger planters be installed along 9th Avenue up in Hell's Kitchen in these median areas that can't support tree life. So we're going to be seeing, these planters coming in. They're going to be teeming with life. The Horticultural Society is going to be taking care of them. And we're really, really excited to be rolling these out. So we think it's going to be a really nice thing people will see as they're walking up and down 9th Avenue. A handful of other smaller updates, just things that we've been working in tandem with CB4 on. These buildings at 410, 412 West 46th Street on Wednesday of last week, so a week ago on May 31st. The judge from the 7A trial came to the buildings, walked around these buildings with some of the tenants there. Friday of last week were final arguments, so we're in the home stretch here. We're really hoping the judge will rule in the city's favor so that HPD can appoint the best possible 7A court administered, administrator. And so we can finally rehabilitate these buildings. Additionally, on Saturday, I want to thank HCC, local community members. There was a press conference on the steps of these buildings to talk about these bad actor landlords, Daniel Oba Shalom, who owns other buildings around the city, all of these that have major HPD violations, calling them out on their bad activity. I want to thank CB4 for all of their efforts on these buildings as well. Jesse, I'll see you tomorrow at our 2-week check-in meetings with the tenants and other people in the community. We also met a couple of weeks ago with residents from the building 517, 525 West 45th Street. We met with them, HPD and DOB, to discuss cure units and some TCO issues that are going on there. I know Housing, Health, and Human Services met on this last week and has been working on this issue for quite some time. So we are excited to, continue working on this issue with CB4 in tandem with you all to get these buildings into a better place with those agencies. And the last thing I'll mention is a couple of weeks ago, we also met with some local residents and CB4 members along the new super sidewalks on 9th Avenue, discussing some of these issues that have, been coming up since they were installed, where they're being used not by pedestrians or not how we want to have them be used. We met with DOT and NYPD traffic there as well. And as a result of this, we hope to see better enforcement to make sure that these are used primarily by pedestrians, signage potentially denoting that these are super sidewalks, and also moving some of these no parking signs to the other side of it so that we don't have issues furthering there. So, we've tried to keep busy and I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have.
Thanks, Jordan. 2 brief questions. David?
Hi, Jordan. It's great to see you again, and thank you for your hard work. I wanted to publicly thank the council member for his work on City Bike, but my question really is more about if you could answer this. I'm getting a lot of questions about the retired city employees who are retirees and their benefits switching around. What is the council member's stand on this? How is he working on this? I want to make sure that this remains part of the city and does not get privatized. Could you brief us? Because it's a big thing in our community.
Sure. Yeah, no, we've we've been fielding hundreds and hundreds of calls and emails on this. The council member, wants to stand with these seniors and support them. He met with a large group of seniors, including Marianne Pizzatola, who's leading this overall charge a couple of weeks ago. I don't have any more specific updates for you, David. I can, touch base with you offline directly on this, but it is something that we are working on very closely and paying very close attention to, as it's also one of the committees the council member is on is civil service and labor. So it's definitely very indebted in there. So David, I'll get the latest and I'll connect with you.
Thanks, David. Betty?
Hi, Jordan. I'm on the same topic as David. It was my understanding that Eric Botcher has supported the change of ditching our traditional Medicare and supporting Medicare Advantage, which would hurt people like myself who are retired and worked many years for the city. So perhaps I heard a rumor that was incorrect.
I just don't know the latest right now. I'll take back, and Betty, I can get back in touch with you directly on this too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Betty. Leslie?
Hi, Jordan. I'm going to switch gears here. No pun intended, because I know Assemblymember Simone mentioned this, and you kind of mentioned this with the widening of the sidewalks. We're finding in certain pockets of our district, many pockets, that a lot of the delivery bicycle e-bikes or delivery bikes and some deliveristas are parking their bikes or themselves in certain areas of the street or on the widening sidewalks, or they're keeping their bikes overnight, and they're kind of gathering in one particular place, or a few, like I said, the pockets, depending where they do their deliveries. Is there any way that the council member can initiate conversations with like a Grubhub or a DoorDash, or because I feel like we're taking on the responsibility of these deliveristas when their employer or their contractor employer should be maybe renting out some of these, empty storefronts and having these guys go in there when it rains, or to charge up their bikes, or to use the bathroom. But instead, I feel like it's being pushed off to the public sector.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a wonderful idea, and definitely something that I'll bring back to the office. Thank you, Leslie. I think that's a good way to engage them, because we've been working with Los Deliveristas Unidos. We've been working with, I know the Bikes Off Sidewalk initiative that came to CB4 Transportation, but I think getting these, delivery apps involved as well, and having them, do their fair share here is a great idea.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Leslie.
Alan will have the last question. Alan?
Well, it's just actually a follow-up to Betty and David's issue about the Medicare shift in the city. It affects about 250,000 retirees, many of whom are elderly, many of whom are sick and have complications, many of whom live in assisted living facilities that unfortunately will not accept their shifting into Medicare Advantage. The mayor, the leadership of the Municipal Labor Committee, which represents labor, is attempting to remove from these retirees health benefits that they were promised, and that was encased in local law back in the 60s. This is all to replenish a fund that was somewhat emptied out to serve a union contract. But the funny thing is, not the funny thing, but the conundrum is, here we have a city council, which Councilman Botcher is a member of, progressives, people who shouted Medicare for all a couple of years ago during the elections, and are now working to help retirees fall into private medical insurance due to the fact that if they have to give up their city benefits, which they're trying to do, which the city's trying to do, they would have to go into Medicare Advantage or pay for the supplement that they were promised to as part of their benefits. Why they went to work for the city? Benefits. Why
Alan,
I'm sorry to go on, but it's not a question. We've gone through, I have to say first that my wife is a retired city employee. We've gone through several lawsuits. We've won those lawsuits. The city keeps appealing it. There's another lawsuit coming. Retirees who are fixed incomes have to take out of their pockets to pay for attorneys. The city is just barreling ahead. And it's a real shame that the city council, after an initial attempt to support us, it seems like the lights went out in the city council in our support. Our leadership that was mentioned, Mary Ann, has been demagogued, has been called crazy, has been called all kinds of names. So it's a real shame in terms of our city council in the lack of representation and doing the right thing. Sorry to go on, but it's a big problem for a lot.
Thank you, Alan. I
people.
appreciate the comments. I encourage you to certainly engage directly with Eric as well. And if folks want to talk on this topic separately, they should sign up for the public session to do it.
We tried to engage with the council member. It took several phone calls, lots of emails for him to come and meet with 45 people. He did a great newsletter the other day about all the things that he's done and met with.
Alan, thank you. I appreciate that. I want to stick to the topic and scope of our meeting tonight. And again, welcome any of these comments outside of our formal board business. So Jordan, thank you for the updates. I think there's a lot you'll have to deliver and get back to members of the board on, and we appreciate that.
No, thank you all.
Thanks. That is it for reports from our elected officials. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jesse Bodine for our district manager's report.
All right, I'm taking myself off mute first before I speak. Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Bodine, the district manager for Community Board 4. Very quickly, so I think we've already know this, but just to make sure everybody does, the city's emergency order related to COVID-19 has been renewed for another 30 days. So we will be continuing to have all committee meetings meet 100% virtually on Zoom. We will be holding our July full board meeting, hopefully in person, hybrid, similar to what we did last year on the High Line. And that I believe is July 26th, Wednesday, July 26th. So again, that will be the next full board that we will be meeting at. If the EO is not extended into July, we will be moving to our hybrid meeting fashion, using our hybrid meeting policy and meeting in a hybrid fashion. All committee meetings at this point in time will be held in our district, in the district office, which has the technology to allow for hybrid meetings to occur. We just held our exec meeting in that form, so you can go online and see that if you'd like to see what that's going to look like. June committee schedule changes. So just a couple highlights. The bylaws task force will be meeting this Monday, June 12th at 4 p.m. We are working on with the 12 FAR working group to find a time to meet, hopefully next week as well. Once we have that settled, that we'll make sure we get that out there. CLU will not be meeting on its usual day on Monday, June 19th, in observance of the holiday Juneteenth. I hope I'm not taking your thunder, Jeffrey, but just because it's a schedule thing, we will be holding a special meeting on Tuesday, June 20th, which will be a special informational presentation co-hosted by the Chelsea Land Use Committee and the Housing, Health, and Human Services Committee related to the Chelsea NYCHA plan. I believe all other committee meetings will be meeting at their regular scheduled time. ACES has been canceled for this month, so there will be no ACES on Monday. And just a very quick update on our office space. Our ULIP, we were in ULIP, was approved by CPC, went to City Council, was not called up, and so therefore we are through the ULIP process. Thanks for everybody for
congratulations, Jesse.
Yes, thank you. We're not making noise. I appreciate it.
I don't remember that coming to Hell's Kitchen Land Use. I'm sorry, what?
You had to call it up, buddy. Yeah, so that's all I have to say, unless there's questions.
Thank you, Jesse. I just want to acknowledge the gentleman's, the person's hand up in the attendees. Our public session was earlier in the evening, and we're now moving into business portion of the night, so we don't take public comment after that on the evening, just FYI. Moving on to the chair's report. As I mentioned in the opening, it's an exciting night. Lots of new faces joining the board. We're welcoming 9 of them here this evening. I'm not sure if they're all here or not, and we are expecting one more additional appointment to our board as well. So I want to go right. I'm going to call names out. I'm going to ask folks to introduce themselves. I'll probably say some of these names incorrectly, so I welcome the correction as you introduce yourself and tell us where you live. And then I'm going to get into little mechanics of what the next month is going to look like, and we'll go from there. So I want to start with Mana Awais.
Hi, I'm Manha Aves. I'm a junior in high school and I live in the Chelsea area.
Thank you. Can you say your first name for me again?
Manha, the A is
Manha.
like
Thank
a
you.
U. Yeah.
I'll probably ask you to do that for me again sometimes too.
No worries.
So sorry about that. Thank you and welcome. Up next, Lisa David.
Everyone, I am the president and CEO of a human service organization called Public Health Solutions, and I live on West 21st between 8th and 9th.
Thanks. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Rachel Lee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Lee. I am a proud resident of the CB4, and I'm really excited to join this CB4, especially because I have been living here for 5 years now, and I love New York City, but there are issues that are near and dear to my heart that I think we can all agree needs improvement. So look forward to working with everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Great. Thanks, Rachel. Welcome. Inga?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Inga Yevchenko. I am rejoining. I left CB4 during COVID. I fled the city, started a new job during COVID. Things have settled down. I'm back. Happy to be back. I've been a continuous member on the BLP. Even when I was off the board, I continued to be a public member. So look forward to being back and seeing all of you. Thanks.
Thanks, Inga. Raul Larios.
Thank you, Jeffrey. My name is Raul Larios, and I am rejoining the community board. I served 2 terms back when Mayor Bloomberg, at the tail end of Mayor Bloomberg's term. I served back then in the BLP and the land use committees. And I also co-chaired a budget and jobs task force with Bert Lazarus. Hello, Bert. I see that you're still here at the board. I'm excited to be back. I was invited and persuaded to rejoin by my good friend Christine Berthet, and I'm looking forward to serving on different committees this time. I've asked to serve on the housing committee and on the transportation committee, just to change things up a little bit. I'm also a resident. I live in Hell's Kitchen and a resident of used to be the old Hudson Hotel, which now has been, it went under, it went bankrupt during COVID. And the building was bought by a private real estate developer, and they took over last summer. And living conditions have been very, very difficult. Thank you, Jesse Bodine and Jordan Feiner, for coming to visit us here and look at the situation. And I look forward to share some of the things that are happening here at the Hudson and get the support from the community board in terms of getting making things better for the people who are still living here in the hotel.
Perfect.
Thank you
very much and welcome back. Next up, Sanford Miller.
Hello, everyone. I live on 54th and 10th, and I am excited to be on the community board and to work with all of you lovely people.
Welcome and thank you. Greg Morris.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Greg Morris. I'm the CEO of the New York City Employment and Training Coalition, which does a great deal of support, provides a great deal of support and engagement with job seekers and businesses in the district. That's how I made my way in, and I'm excited to do that. Previously, I worked on the Upper East Side and I served on Community Board 8, where I was co-chair of the Housing Committee. Just in terms of where I live, while my work is in the district, I do live in Brooklyn.
Noted, and thanks, Greg, for joining us. Rodney Washington.
Hello, and thank you very much. I am also excited to join the community board. I've lived in Chelsea at 28th and 10th for about 13 years. My background is in public service, supporting vulnerable groups, international work, and in the US. So again, look forward to working and meeting everyone.
Thank you very much, and welcome. And finally, Wilson Cano.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet everyone. My name is Wilson Cano. I am the Deputy Executive Director of Hudson Guild, a local nonprofit. I also do not live in the district, but I might as well, considering that I spend most of my day and nights here, even the weekends.
Absolutely. Welcome and thank you. This is really exciting. Great to have such tremendous representation from across the district. Jobs, experience, this is exactly the kind of stuff we're looking for. So I'm really excited. And as I mentioned, we're going to have somebody else appointed as well. And so when that happens, we'll do a similar round of introduction. But just to note, while new members were asked to fill out their community preference form, I'm not making any assignments to committees at this time. I want to encourage them all to attend multiple committee meetings this month, ahead in June if possible. And then based on any feedback you guys receive and with consideration to balance and judgment of the committees, I'll be making the appointments at our executive committee meeting, which is at the end of June. So that way, come July, you'll have your formal committee schedule and can begin that for the summer going forward. Also, I know we'll be planning some sort of Community Board 101 introductory meetings as well. And beyond that, looking forward to hopefully meeting everybody in person on the High Line at our late July full board meeting. So again, welcome. We're excited to have you. Don't hesitate to reach out to Jesse to connect with me. If you are curious about committees also, please connect with Jesse and the CB team, Nellie or Janine, and we can also put you in touch with co-chairs if there's a discussion or some questions you want to have around what is it like to be on the BLP committee, which stands for Business License and Permits? What is it like to be on WPE, which stands for Waterfront Parks and Environment? You should also recognize that many of us speak a particular language as it relates to the community board, which is a lot of acronyms. And so pausing for questions, especially as we are sort of onboarding all of you together, is totally appropriate. And of course, there is no bad question, because we want to make sure everybody has all the information and resources that they need to make an informed decision and have a good conversation. So again, welcome to you all, and stay tuned for a whole lot of work. And it only gets better from here. So thanks, everybody. A couple of other updates, small meetings, committee, jumping out of order here. Jesse mentioned the public presentation and special meeting that we're hosting on Tuesday, June 20th at 6 p.m., co-hosted by Chelsea Land Use and the Housing Committee, regarding the Chelsea NYCHA developments and the plan being put forth for those campuses. If you're interested in this or on those committees, feel free to attend to learn a whole lot more on that topic. In addition to the new members of the board, this is where I was out of order, there is some committee leadership changes that I'm excited and pleased to announce. Josephine Ishman will now be the new co-chair of the ACES committee, with thanks and congrats to her for that and for stepping in. Thank you, Josephine. And then on the Transportation Planning Committee, Jesse Greenwald will be the new co-chair along with Christine Berthet. So with thanks to Jesse on that, and to Alan and Christine for their continued service on those committees as well. There may be other changes still yet to come down the pike. Stay tuned, but as always, check out everybody's agendas, and thanks to committees for keeping all our good work moving forward. As Jesse mentioned, the FAR working group and the bylaws task force are continuing to meet, and we have goals for a June report to the executive committee on that. The Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement Working Group held our regular bi-weekly meetings with the port. We had one today, and I'm pleased to share that it was actually an incredibly mundane and boring meeting because it had so much data. And they are finally beginning to share answers to questions we've been pushing at them really hard for. You'll recall earlier this year, we sent some pretty stern letters requesting an increase in communication, and it is noticed and notable that they've re-engaged in this regard and are really beginning to share more and more information. So as we plan to bring the redevelopment of the port to life, we're getting a whole lot of answers and are excited to continue those conversations, including with the Department of City Planning and with DOT as this marches forward. Note that the port is its own entity. And so ensuring that we have clear communication and a real role in the planning process continues to be Bert and the rest of the committee's goal to make sure we're set front and center on that. So good stuff coming out of that group. A couple of points of interest and with appropriate regard, Jordan mentioned the really awesome recognition by the LPC and the good work, of course, of the Chelsea Land Use Committee to designate the former colored school number 4 in Chelsea. Not only that designation, but having received $6 million in funding from the city to make sure that that building can continue to stand in our community is a little bit huge win at the same time. So thank you for all for that. We provided testimony on the hearing for the amendments on the LPC rules. You'll recall we took that up at our executive committee meeting, and those will be ratified by the board this evening. And then, of course, as well, I called into a very obscure conference line to present testimony for the Pier 94 public hearing. This was a one-of-a-kind hearing for us. Old school. MOCS, the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, governs this lease and contract. And I called in to testify, really opposing the terms of the lease. We'll be ratifying a letter that we sent because the deadline for comment on that lease period was June 25th. I'll talk about this more later, but things don't look good as it relates to what we've been trying to advocate for on Pier 94. But we've been present every step of the way, and I am thankful for everybody's continued participation and willingness to engage on that. That is it for me. I was just reviewing notes. That is it for me on my formal reports. And so with that, I am really impressed and amazed that I am moving into the business portion of our meeting at 7:35 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. New members do not get used to the timing of this meeting. I just want to be very clear. I see a lot of my colleagues grinning with acknowledgement of that. This has been an extremely quick meeting so far. So I will, with that, pass it over to Frank and Bert for business license and permit.
Hi there. First, I wanted to welcome the new members and reiterate what Jesse said. I think I and all of the co-chairs of the committees would be more than happy to talk with you about what we do by phone or meet for coffee or anything. So you can get our contact information and either talk before or after our next meeting, or if you can't make the meetings, we'll tell you what's going on and whether it'd be whether the committees would be of interest to you. We've got 4 BLP matters. I don't see the need for any discussion. 3 of them were previously licensed locations. The 4th one is in the Vanderbilt Hall food court. So they were pretty straightforward on the committee level, but I will, of course, answer questions.
Thanks, Frank. And just if anybody does have any questions, of course, but just a note for the new members on the voting process. The way that we do this is we take all of our letters by committee. If there's questions, those are addressed only by members of the board can ask questions during our business portion of the meeting. And then you received a link, which is your vote sheet. And at the end of the meeting, the secretaries will call the roll. You'll announce your vote accordingly and then submit your vote sheet as well. So we bundle the votes at the end of the meeting, and we'll go over this again, but just so you understand on process why we're not taking any votes as we run through the agenda here. That's the structure we do on the squares. With no questions for Frank at BLP, we will move on to Maria and Joe on the Housing, Health, and Human Services Committee.
Well, that was fast. Oh, my goodness.
Maria, I don't know. It's like I'm missing something, but keep going, keep going.
Oh, I'm prepared. That's the good part. All right. So for we're in June. Yes. So in May, we had Brian Stenton, the senior advisor on severe mental illness, come to committee and speak to us. So we have a short and sweet letter basically saying that we are grateful and thank him for coming to present on issues related to serious mental illness. Specifically, there were some initiatives that he mentioned. I don't really want to mention all of them. It's a really good letter. And if you do some more research and reading about Brian Stenton and the initiatives that the mayor has, this letter is to the mayor, I should add that. One thing that I wanted to highlight out of the initiatives is one of them is to make the law explicit that a person who requires care for their mental illness when it prevents them from taking care of their basic needs. And it requires some other things, mandating hospitals and clinicians to do certain kinds of things and a broader range of trained mental health professionals to be able to assess if someone meets that criteria. And that is pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions?
And just to note, Brian Stetton is a senior policy advisor to the mayor on mental illness. And he was the author of Kendra's Law. So he's quite experienced and has a deep background in this.
Mm-hmm. Two hands, Katie and then Betty. Katie?
Hey, so this is maybe more a question for Leslie so in this letter, there's great things mentioned, but we don't ever ask or advocate for more money to be allocated for these things. And I was just wondering, for purposes of when we're talking about budget stuff in the fall, do we have to have asked in our letter now about money stuff so that we can ask for more in the fall if we wanted to? Or is it okay to not mention the money?
Here is that we're on the record and we don't need to tie a fiscal ask to it because that's what the budget process is for.
Okay, so we don't have to say anything about money right now. Great, perfect, thank you.
The other thing I would add also is that that letter that we did the prior month related to the mental health forum, that's where it comes up also.
Great.
Asking for more funds and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's a great letter. And I just must say that the representative who came really hit on subtle distinctions in his talk. I was thinking that it might be useful, since it's going to the mayor, that the most important points might be put up front in the letter, or you could even repeat them up front, just so that busy bureaucrats get the point quickly. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Betty. The other thing I just want to add, thank you for making that point, Betty. If anyone is really interested in the topic more, I would encourage you to read the letter. Also, every meeting we do is living on YouTube for forever. So to check it out, he really was. I've been on the board for a couple of years and there was a lot of feedback about how thorough his presentation was. And it was really good.
Maria, I'm sorry, you mentioned it in the beginning, but just to repeat again, who was this?
His name is Brian Stenton, and he's the senior advisor on serious mental illness at City Hall. So lots of experience in the area. And like Joe mentioned, he helped to create Kendra's Law.
It was an incredibly nuanced presentation that gave us a full picture of services and approach. Fascinating.
Great. Thank you for that. And with thanks to the whole committee for bringing this up this evening. With no other questions, we will move on to, I think Christine will present on this tonight. Christine, for transportation planning.
Yes, I mean, I think the two letters are very simple, 06 and 07. One is to DOT for a loading zone, and the other one is for Port Authority to be careful while they are doing a project and consult everybody on noise. So these are the two letters. Any questions?
Any questions for transportation? Okay, Alan at ACES, Arts, Culture, and Education and Street Life, that is, just so everybody knows what ACES stands for.
Arts, Culture, Education, and Street Life. Firstly, a big thank you and welcome to Josephine as co-chair. Glad to have you. Thank you. And a big thanks to everybody who served on our committee, and we'll miss you. So I'd like to transfer over this to Katie, who did a lovely job, great job writing this letter and presented to the committee. Thank you.
Great. So thank you. I am actually talking about item number 8, I think. So this is a letter to Associate Commissioner Zhang, as well as the Department of Youth and Community Development. We had a presentation at our April meeting of ACES from Associate Commissioner Zhang, and he was talking about a really neat pilot program whereby they agreed to, or DYCD agreed to provide on-site English language classes at 5 HHHS for our recently arrived asylum seekers. And this is a pilot program. It's for 100 people at each site. And it was due to start at the end of April, right after his presentation to us. So in our letter, we are saying, this is such a great program. We hope that there is funding for it for FY24, because he said that they weren't sure about the funding. So we hope that the pilot program continues at the 5 HHHS, but we also ask that the pilot program be expanded so to provide English language classes at the temporary hotels managed by DHS and DSS. And our last request was simply that they do a survey at the hotels and at the HHHS to just find out how many people are interested, because we suspect from what we've heard at several of our meetings that there might be a lot more people than just 100 people at each site who are interested in on-site English language classes. So anyway, that's what the letter is saying. We're asking for the pilot program to be continued, for it to be expanded to the hotels, and for them to do a survey to determine interest.
Thanks, Katie.
Going to item 9, since it is going to CHHHS, I should say that I am a member of CHHHS and will not be voting on this. Basically, to support the continuation of this pilot program that's on 45th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues, a containers on various locations on the street. I did get a few emails, feedback on this particular issue. The city, some of you may know, engaged with McKinsey Consulting for a very thorough report study about containerization, or basically how to handle the enormous amount of trash recycling in the city. It's a very comprehensive report. The city is actually moving ahead with a new pilot program that'll be taking place in the Bronx. I believe, from what I understand, they might have already signed a contract to do that. It'll involve containers, larger containers, various types of containers. It'll involve trucks with mechanical arms. We were hoping at some point to discuss the 45th Street project with sanitation, discuss some of the problems that they thought were visible from it, and try to work on those problems to continue, but that program, but it may not come to fruition. It's an ongoing issue. The sanitation is looking at definitely moving into containerization, is looking to move into doing a different job in terms of trash collection, and they'll probably have to go through several different pilot programs to come up with some solution to our ever-growing trash. So with that, I'll turn over to Paul.
Thanks, Alan. Paul?
Alan, a question about the letter is going to CHHHS to ask DSNY funding. It just seems a little bit murky on the channels in the reading of the letter. And so why is this not going directly to DSNY? Why is it going to CHHHS?
Well, our initial letter was to CHHHS that we did before. They came before us, made the presentation. asking for support. And we wrote the letter to them, basically giving our support to them in their relationship with DSNY.
Because and also, doesn't Hudson Yards Hell's Kitchen Alliance do the maintenance on those bins? So it seems to me there's a couple of different funnels for the funding. So
yeah, well, so the issue at this point, I don't think is whether there's funding for it or not funding for it. DSNY, I think, just doesn't want to do this anymore on this particular location. They're moving into a much larger area. There's going to be schools involved. There's going to be multiple streets. So they're really expanding the whole scope of containerization. This had its own problems. It was, the sanitation had to open these bins, pull out the garbage can, close it up, have somebody come and clean up afterwards. So I guess they're just ramping it up. I think the commissioner sanitation is really taking a more broader look at what to do about our garbage situation.
yeah, it just seemed that it was confusing as to where, because DSNY is funding a program citywide on an alternative method of collecting the same system that exists on 45th Street, but different components, right? And so can we have 45th Street be a part of the DSNY's larger program?
Well, we were hoping to do that. I mean, we'll still advocate for that. We will also advocate if they're going to do a project uptown, they should, do a project, pilot project here in our district also.
All right. So again, I just think maybe we should go, I don't know, and maybe Christine or you can add like go directly to DSNY rather than through check beds, but I'm not sure why.
All right.
Can I just give a little context? Yeah, I mean, we can do both. We can do either. I mean, on occasion, there are occasions when you write letters of support for a project or to an organization, to the organization, for them then to include into whatever they would be then sending to the agency, or we can sometimes write directly to the agency. So we do both. I don't know if there's any particular feel if Christine has her hand raised, obviously. So if there's a specific desire of one way or the other, I think unless Alan or the committee has any strong other opinions, the addressee doesn't always need to be something that that's not always on the vote. So
yeah. Jeffrey, can I go?
Yes, please. Sorry, Christine.
Yeah, I think the most productive at this time is just what Paul was saying, which is to ask that 45th Street be made part of the new pilot, and that they include that so that we can be part of the test. And it's really not an issue of funding check pads at all, because really the money was put down by DSNY and not by check pads. So it all came from DSNY. And so if we want to add the sentence to that at the beginning, I think that would be a good, I would be happy with that outcome.
Christine, can you disclose your connection to check pads?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the founder of check pads, and we worked very hard on this project with sanitation and with funding from sanitation. Sanitation funded the whole pilot.
Thank you, Christine. Alan, does that sound a reasonable change to you?
Sounds good.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Alan and ACES? All righty. I'm now going to take 3 hours to report on the executive committee letters. So one of these has been tabled. Jessica, do you just want to share a little bit on the plan and direction for the City of Yes letter and why it's been tabled and what we're doing going forward there?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, this is really, so City of Yes is an initiative of the mayor's office, really it has 3 components. The one we have spent time in our various committees and exec looking at is that related to carbon neutrality and recommendations associated with that. It is a lot of suggestions and content being proposed in that, and various committees have provided their feedback as well to this letter. We are not bringing it before the board today, not for a substantive reason, but rather just simply a timing issue of getting all of the various components fully reflected in the content of the letter. And so we did vote in large favor of City of Yes, but with some modifications and concerns about specific recommendations. So that will be forthcoming, and I fully expect that will be at our next board. And the city has also been extending the discussion period with which this is happening. So we can expect to be, hearing more about City of Yes for many months to come.
Thank you for that. So stay tuned for our formal letter in response to that, and we'll obviously hold a public hearing for when we take that letter up on the topic. Up next, item 11, these are both ratifications for the education point is on this from a process standpoint. Typically, if there's a timeline on a letter that something has to get out before our full board meets between the previous month, the executive committee votes on that letter, and then the full board ratifies it. So these next two items, that was the process. The LPC amendments were changes to the rules. We had discussion, our exec committee was actually 2 weeks ago now on this, and sent our letter, actually had to go the next morning, was the deadline on comments for that. So again, this is a ratification, so no changes can be made at this point to the letter. And then item 12 are what I think will be probably our final formal comments on the topic of Pier 94. We requested a tabling of the lease to address some very specific things that we found after having had the ability to actually review the lease. The process, as I mentioned at the top of the meeting, that this was dictated through is through a process that MOCS, the Mayor's Office of Contract Services, runs. It was a 30-day comment period that we submitted comment during. However, there was no requirement for agency response. And once that comment period closed on June 25th, the process is done. And the expectation is that the lease will be executed. Our elected officials did send a letter memorializing to an extent what we were calling for. But I want to just take a moment to thank WPE, Leslie and Marty and Christine and Dale as having taken this up so heartily, and for the board's patience on this. I'll be plain and say that we did not get a good deal on this, but I am very proud of the fight that we put up to attempt to get a better deal for the city on this. So with that, I want to thank you all for that on sort of really trudging through and making appropriate waves here. Two hands, Joe and then Christine. Joe?
Yeah, I thought it'd be good to mention for the new members that we do ratification because sometimes there's a time frame that we can't meet.
That's what I had mentioned. Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing that really struck me, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that we had to submit these things, and so exec took them up, and that's why we're voting to codify them now. Christine?
Yes, the letters from transportation went so fast. I skipped on a little piece here, which is to give a shout out to Dale Corvino, who was my co-chair and has been really working so hard with me and with the whole committee for many years. And I think he kind of deserves a little applause for his department.
Absolutely, Christine.
Work with the community was
close
really
out the meeting with thanks to him, and intend to do it when he's also able to join us. But acknowledging his commitment and time on the committee is significant. So thank you for that and appreciate it. Rachel.
Yes, Jeffrey, thank you for the summary and thank you for the expeditious update and the procedures today. This is more of an administrative question for whoever put together the form for voting. Kudos, by the way. For ratification items, would it be appropriate then to say yes or no? Is it present or not eligible for non-executive committee members?
Sure. So every letter always gets voted on by the full board membership. So typical process, any committee takes up a topic, they come up with a recommendation, they vote on that, and then that's recommended to the full board. So tonight you're voting yes no, abstain, or present not eligible on all letters, even if it's a ratification.
Okay.
And just another moment, bit of education as we march towards the voting. Present not eligible. For example, you heard folks speak to tonight the fact that they are a member of another organization, or they're on the board of another organization, or in my case, I run a business improvement district in meatpacking. So anything south of 17th Street, I vote present, not eligible. It is a very important distinction. And I am a fan of erring on the side of caution. It's also appropriate, like if you want to ask Jesse if you think you should vote P&E, totally appropriate to do. It is different than an abstention, and I think important to always consider why that is to be made. Lisa.
Sorry, just a quick question. I didn't see the voting form on the list of items that were sent out. How do I
It would have
find
come in the body of an email earlier today.
Okay.
I think, Jesse, do you mind looking at when that email was sent?
Sure. It's not a form, Lisa. It's a link. So
Okay.
yeah, it's
Sorry.
the subject. No, it's okay. The subject line of the email was vote sheet link, and I think that was it. But I can resend it to everybody right now.
It's 2:05 p.m.
from this afternoon.
Mike
Yes.
Noble. Mike Noble. Yes. Thank you, Mike.
I have it.
Okay, great.
So any other questions on letters or process? Just a little bit of vote, a little more education here. Tonight, we're only taking one roll call. There may be nights when we have to take 2 votes, things when we take up a ULURP, which is a land use action, that requires a roll call vote for that singular item. So that is always a process that will be dictated. And like I said, really, you leave it to the vote sheet is very direct. And like Rachel said, kudos to who puts it together, Janine and Nellie and the team. But it's Janine, there it is, who does this. But it is also critically important that you submit your vote sheet. We need the vote sheet for the record. So typically you'll hear folks say their vote and then submitted, and it's just a good process to get this all in at once. At 7:59, I am pleased to pass it over to Katie and Roberta to call the roll for the vote this evening.
Wow, I'm just so stunned. I don't know what to do with myself. It's never been this
I feel like
early.
we're missing something, Katie, so let's just do it.
I really do.
For the joint the city of Yes, it's tabled. That's
tabled, correct.
Okay, so I, as one of the co-secretaries, I'm going to call out people's names alphabetically by last name, and then let me know, if you're all yes, all no. If you
Right, just a point on that. So, for example, tonight I'm gonna be voting yes on all, and so that's all I need to say. Or some folks might say yes on all, abstain on 17. Yes on all, present not eligible on what have you. So we don't need you to, say yes to 1, yes to 2. You can call out the difference, but otherwise the uniformity is what we need on the vote. So.
All right. Well, with that, Ted, show us how it's done.
Yes to all and vote sheet submitted.
Wow, bravo, well done. Okay, and Maha, you're the very next one up. And tell me again how to say your name.
Manha.
Manha. Okay.
And-
Manha, how do you vote?
Yes on all.
Great. Thank you very much. And remember to submit your vote sheet. Okay, Roberta, you're next.
Is she here?
She said she might have to drop off.
See her on here, so we'll come back.
Okay. Christine.
Yes on all except 9 Peony.
9 Peony. All right. Great. Then Gwen. Was Gwen here?
No, Gwen's not going to make it.
Okay. Leslie, Bogosian Murphy.
Yes to all and submitted for you, Katie.
Oh, you're so good to me. Thank you. Viren.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Wilson.
Yes to all. Submitting.
Great.
the-
Thank you. Jessica.
Yes to all and submitted.
Great. Dale would be next, but I think he's not here this evening. Is that correct?
Correct. He's not here this evening.
Okay. Aurora.
Yes to all and submitted. Thanks, Katie.
Yep. Lisa. David.
Yes to all and submitted.
Well done. Marty.
Yes to all and submitted.
Great. Pete Diaz.
Yes to all and submitted.
Wow. Everybody's on a roll tonight. Wendy.
Best behavior.
Yes to all and submitted.
Thanks. Matt Green.
E&E on 9 and yes to the rest submitted.
All right. Got it. Jesse. Greenwald.
Yes, yes to all and welcome to the new members. Thanks so much.
Lovely. Candace. Not here?
She was before.
Sorry, my mute wasn't working. Yes to all submitted.
Okay, great. Okay, David Haluka.
Did not see David.
Okay. Frank.
Yes to all and submitted.
Great. Josephine.
Yes to all.
Lovely. Inga. Inga.
If I were off mute. Abstain, 9, 10, 12. Yes to all the rest and submitted.
Got it. Marvelous. Okay, Carrie.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Lowell.
Not
Is
see.
here? Okay. Raul.
Abstain to all and submitted.
I'm sorry, you said abstain to all?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Bert.
Yes to all.
Lovely. Chris.
He's not here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Rachel.
Yes to all and first vote sheet submitted.
Brava. Well done. Betty.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Sanford.
Yes to all and submitted.
Thank you. Greg.
Yes to all. Submitting yes.
Well done. Tina Nelson.
Hi there. PNE on, but yes to the rest.
Actually, I'm sorry, Tina, you cut out. PNE on what?
Sorry. PNE on number 8, and then yes to the rest.
Got it.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Mike Noble.
Yes to all and submitted.
Great. I'm getting some feedback right now. So anybody who's not speaking, can you go on mute?
I think it was actually Mike. So I think, Mike, I'm just putting you on mute for now.
Okay. JD.
Yes to all.
Thank you. Maria.
Because I forgot to mention it earlier. JD, thank you for writing the letter I introduced. And yes to all, submitted.
Well done. Alan.
Present not eligible on 9, yes to the rest and submitted.
Bravo. Brad.
Yes to all. Welcome new members. Thank you.
Great. Joe.
Yes to all and submitted.
Thank you. Dolores.
Yes to all.
Thank you. David Solnick.
I don't think I saw David Solnick.
I don't think I saw him, no.
Okay. Then I am up next and yes to all. And then Charlie is next.
Yes to all and welcome to the new members.
Lovely. Hector.
Yes to all and submitted, and welcome, everybody.
David Warren,
Yay to all P&E on number 9, and welcome all members and submitted.
bravo. All right. And then Rodney,
Yes to all and submitting now. Thank you.
thank you. Alice,
Alice couldn't be.
Alice is not going to be here. No, she's
oh, okay. And then Jeffrey, you're up last, but I think you
Excuse
said.
me, I think you might have missed somebody.
Oh, did I? Oh,
Am I the seat that's getting appointed newly and I wasn't informed yet? What's going on?
you know, actually, now that you mention it, I think I skipped over a couple of you. So first of all, Paul, how the heck do you vote?
I am voting yes on all, and welcome to the new members.
And
Thank
actually,
you.
I don't think I called on Tina to Felicitania.
Tina is not here this evening.
Okay, and then, but I did get Pete Diaz, and I got Marty, I think. So I think I just skipped Paul and Tina. Sorry, Paul.
And we're going back to Roberta, if she's still here.
I'm here.
Yes.
Sorry, apologies. Sorry, the abstain on 11 and yes to all. Thank you.
Okay, abstain on 11. Okay, and then Jeffrey.
Yes on all.
Lovely. All right, I think that's everybody, unless there's
Great.
something else I skipped.
I just want to reemphasize a couple. Dolores, I see your hand, but I wanted to reemphasize a couple of things. I don't want to
It's
close.
a question. It's a
Yeah. Okay,
question.
perfect.
It's a
Thank
question
you.
for the vote. No, do not worry. Katie, are you able to tell us how many P&Es we had on 9?
1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4.
Okay, that's an unusually large number for a vote that comes to the board. So it's just curious. Thank you.
Yep. There was an abstention on 9, or actually 2 abstentions on 9, but only 4 P&Es.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
Thanks, Katie.
Yep.
And Dolores. Just to reemphasize a couple of things, folks, to spend some time looking at committee letters, looking at topics that come out of our committees, and new members to spend the time this month if you're able to Zoom in and join committee meetings. And then, like we said, I do just want to double click on what was talked about earlier to reach out to Jesse. We'll share contacts with co-chairs. I think it's appropriate for me to speak to them all to say that they are readily available and happy to chat and share with you what it's like to sit in and be a member of any of their committees. And of course, with new membership comes new ideas. And so I look forward to those discussions as well. My email is very straightforward, cb4chair@gmail.com. You should all have Jesse and Janine and Nellie's emails as well. But, it's kind of a great time to be on board because you have June, you have July, and then we take August off. So looking forward to seeing where everybody wants to land and what our new committee makeup is going to be. Any final questions this evening? Inga?
I just have one comment. BLP has never taken August off.
Noted. Thank you.
Here,
That
here.
is mostly a time factor because of the nature of the committee's work.
Inga, that wasn't very good advertising.
I was going to say, what do you?
I hope that doesn't discourage anybody.
Really good.
Join the meeting.
Tonight is about positivity, so I'm going to lean back into that.
I've been on it for years, so.
Jeffrey,
it's
this
good
might
to
be
me.
the time for my cue. Is that correct?
Thank you, Ms. Rubin. It is indeed.
All right, so be safe out there in the smog and the smoke, and I have a motion to adjourn, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great.
This is
Thank
a
you,
record
everybody.
tonight.
Record.
It's a
Have a
record.
great night. Bye, all.
Take care.
Bye.